Let's go ahead and record. There we go. And remember, right, last time we talked about this, we were learning about calculating the mean, the mode. And the mean is the number where you add them all together and divide by how many there are, right? The median is the number that's in the middle, right? Once you put them in order. And the mode is the one that shows up the most, right? The mode is the one that shows up the most. So looking at this monstrosity of a problem that I, for some reason, gave you guys because I was trying to be mean or something. I have no idea why. But we can use our calculator for this, our brand new TI calculator that you guys have downloaded on your Chromebooks. And let me show you how you do that, okay? So there's a bunch of numbers here. And if you're just doing it by hand, right, by actually just adding this up right here, like 25 plus 5 plus 18, that's nothing new. That's just like, okay, now you got this fancy calculator and you're just using the same thing that you would do with any old calculator. And I don't want to do that. I want to show you guys the shortcut for this thing, right? The shortcut for this thing. There is a bunch of programs in here. Don't feel overwhelmed by it if you don't remember how to get to it. I suggest you keep like a side note, like a little booklet, or maybe something in your, like if you're doing your notes for this in somewhere, write it somewhere on a sticky and say, label it like, calculator shortcuts, right? And this first calculator shortcut is going to help you calculate, and I would write down mean and the median, okay? Mean and the median. So check this out here. What I'm going to do is press on stat, right? Press on stat. So like I said, on my, hold up, I can't have too many windows open here. It's going to start acting weird. Okay, so on my side note, right, what I'm going to be doing on my TI calculator, right? The first button I'm going to be pressing is the stat button. The stat button. Press the stat button, and it'll take you to this screen right here where it looks like there's an edit, there's a calc, and there's a test. Under the edit, I'm going to go into the first option, which is edit. So after stat, I'm going to press edit. Right? Stat and then edit. Once I press stat and then edit, right, I'm going to then put all numbers, put all numbers, really? Put all numbers into L1. L1, by the way, just stands for list 1, right? List 1. So there's L1 up there, there's L2, L3, L4. If you go to the right, all the way up to L6. Okay, all the way up to L6. So I'm going to go ahead and type these numbers in. And if you have a keyboard with a number pad, it makes it a lot easier because you press enter, it'll actually go down to the next part of the list. So I can actually just read these off here and see that this is going to be 25, right? You see how I typed that in without actually clicking anything on the screen? I just typed that on my keyboard. So 25, you see it entered right here. My first element is the number 25. Once you type that, press enter. It goes down to the next line, and I type in my next one, which is going to be 5. So 25, 5, 18. I'm going to quietly say this so I don't throw you guys off if you're working along with me. 16, 24, 24, 22, 7, 15, 39, 58, 53, 36, 42. And I'm going to pause it for a second. I just wrote the first line. I just typed them all in, and I pressed enter along the way. 42 looks like it's the 16th number out of my data, right? So that's the first line. I've just typed it in using my number pad. And again, if it takes you a little bit longer, don't worry about it. Just get it done however you need to. And if this is all weird to you, you can still just do it by hand. You don't have to do it this way. I just want to show you this way because I think it's neat to have these different tools to do it for us. All right, so I'm going to go on now. I've just finished at 42, which was the first row. So I'm going to go on to the second row right now. So after 42, going down to the next row, I'm going to have here 16, 20, 1, 5, and I'm going to do it quietly so I don't throw you guys off if you are doing it along with me. By the way, don't feel like you need to do what I'm doing and typing it super fast and pressing enter, right? I used to work an office job before I was a teacher for a year, and one of the things that you have to do is actually like crunch numbers into a screen, and I don't know, you just get a little bit better at it doing this over and over again. Oh my God. The first three rows was 49 numbers. By the way, the first three rows were 49 numbers. Why would I do this to you? Why would I do this to you? Oops. Be careful. Now, on the keyboard, if you end up typing the wrong number, don't hit delete, right? Actually, does backspace work? No, backspace does. Oh, no, backspace doesn't work either. So don't hit delete or backspace. What you need to do is go over here and just press the arrow over and then press delete. Don't press clear, right? Just be careful with that. Where was I at? 12, 33, 21, 40, 68, 25, 40, 59, 4, 7, 65 numbers by the fourth row, and then type in the last row right there. And it looks like the last number I'm about to type in is the 80th number. And that sounds right. I think, Calvin, you counted it out last time and you told me that there were 80 numbers. So I'm going to assume that I typed these in correctly because on the last one I got here. How do you go to the second column? If you want to, you just press the right arrow right here and you can go over to the L2 column. But I'm not typing in any numbers into L2, Michael. I'm just typing in them all 80 of these numbers into L1, right? Because this is all one data set. So I'm going to keep them all together in L1. But Michael, if you ever want to do with multiple data sets, you just press the arrows right here. So this arrow to the right would move you over to the column and the second column and the third column and so on, all the way to the sixth column, right? But I have all my data right here into the first column just because they're all in the same data set. Okay, once you have that keyed in, give me 1 second. Oh my God, how do the people? All right, so once I have all 80 numbers keyed in, right? To get out of this screen, you would hit second, the blue button, second, and then quit. You see how that word quit is in blue right above mode? You press second and quit. It takes you back to the home screen where Blinky is. And I'm actually going to type that in my notes as well. After I put in all the numbers into L1, I pressed, these notes are getting really weird. I pressed second and then quit. Or actually second, I guess the button is actually called mode, right? It's called mode, but it actually has the word quit above it in blue. Right, quit in blue. So once you do that, you go back to your home screen, and then from your home screen, you're going to press this again. You're going to go and press stat. Again, you're going to press stat, but this time instead of going back to edit your list, you're going to go over to calculate, and you're going to go over to one variable statistics. So I'm going to write that down in my notes one more time right there. After you second and quit back to your home screen, you're going to go back and press again the stat button, stat, right? And then you're going to go over to the right and look for calculate. You're going to look over to calculate. It's not a button, right? It's not a button. It's actually an option on the top right here. So you actually, when you press stat, it goes into edit. You're going to go over to calculate, which is over here, and you're going to select one var stat. One var stat, and press enter on that one. And this is where you finish up. Once you get into one var stat and press enter, it's going to ask you, hey, where's the data that you have that you want me to calculate stuff for? And it defaults to L1. But like if you were like Michael and you put numbers into L2, then you have to tell it that it's an L2. And the way you tell it it's L1 or L2, I don't know if you guys can see these right here over the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You see they're like baby blue right there, but they're written really tiny. Those are your names. So it's L1, L2, L3. So if I wanted to change to L2, you have to hit the blue button and then hit 2 so I can tell it, oh, my data is in L2. Oh, my data is in L3. But right now my data is in L1, right? My data is in L1. And I just go ahead and have that, and I go down here to calculate, press calculate, and it gives me my average for me. My average is 27.825. So that's my mean. And I just write that down. What's my mean? My mean is 27.825. That's it. That's my mean. Now, how do I find my median, it's the number that's in the middle. They call it right there. The median is 23.5. 23.5. The last problem and the last issue with this one is it doesn't actually, I swear I used to have the mode, but it doesn't look like it has it right here. So this will tell you the mean and the median, but it doesn't look like it tells you the mode, sadly. And to get the mode, give me 1 second. Let me see if I can figure if this will work. I don't actually know if this is going to work. So give me 1 second. Don't write this down. But I'm going to record myself doing this. So if it fails on camera. I believe if you type out mode, it should work. No? Whoops, not M7. I want MODE. I want the mode of L1. Does that work if I type it out like that? That doesn't work, sadly. So it doesn't look like this will actually tell me what the mode is on here. And you go through the catalog and see if there is a mode option. Is there a mode option? It should be under M. Manual fit, math, print, matrix, min, mod, blocks, POC, and yeah, I don't think it has a mode. You know what? I live in a day and age where we can just Google things. Why don't I just Google things? Wouldn't that be a lot easier if you just Google things? So let me see here. Can I go onto here? How to find mode on TI-84 Plus. Hey, look, that's a common search thing. Statistics 1, mean, median, and mode. Is that on the calculator? Let's take a look here. Let's see here. To find the mean and the median, method 1. Oh, look at that. There's a feature here that has the mean and the median right there. Once you type in the numbers into L1, you actually don't have to go to one variable statistics. You can just go to, it looks like you just pressed second stat and then go to math, and then they're right there, the mean and the median. We did it with method 2. We did it with this guy with the one variable statistics to help us find it. But it looks like to find the mode, we have to sort the list. Okay, so we could sort it in order. Oh, snap. So you can have your data and then type it in however you want, and you can have it sort your data for you. You can sort L1, and then all your numbers will be in order. And then you just have to examine which one shows up the most often. That's as best as we're gonna get, I guess. We're gonna sort it from least to greatest, and the number I have was in my L1 list, so I'm gonna go ahead and press enter. It says it's done. I go ahead and check out the list then, and yes, it is done. It goes from 0 all the way down, and that's a little annoying. I have to see which one shows up the most. So right now, 1 has it repeating 3 times. 5 has it repeating 3 times. 13 has it repeating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So 13 is the winner so far. 13 has 5 repeats. Looking for anything else that has 5 repeats as I scroll through these numbers. This sucks. I thought it'd be like, hey, here's the mode. 39 shows up 4 times. So 13 is still the winner with 5. And that was almost there. Yeah, it looks like 13 is your mode. That sucks. I don't like that. That's I'm sorry, I shouldn't use that language, but that's terrible. That's terrible. You should have a function in there. If this thing is going to cost like $100, it should actually tell you what the mode is. Instead, it's just this nonsense. I say nonsense. But anyways, hopefully you guys pick up how to use. That's like the basics of using this calculator, of using the list that's on there, and it can calculate the mean, median for you guys. Doesn't do the mode, sadly, but it'll do other things for your numbers that are in that list. And that's one of the ways you can use your TI. And hopefully you will consider using your TI calculator that way to help you do that stuff, okay? And that's the answer, by the way. It's 13 for the mode, 23.5 for the median, and 27.825 for the mean, okay? So hopefully you guys will see that and know how to do those 3. So let's move on. I spent way too much time on that problem right there, but you know what? It wasn't too bad. Let's actually just move on now. Let's go on to the next you try here. So here, this is a frequency table instead of a data set, right? This was a data set of the ages of residents in a small town So there's 80 people in this small town, and these were their ages. So the average age was 27.8. The median age was 23, and the most, the age that showed up the most was 13-year-olds. Well, there was like 5 of them, right? So I don't think any of these guys are actually age 0, right? They're like a couple months then, I guess. So they're infants. Anyways, that was for that one. Let's move on to the next one. Let's take a look here. Let's look at the next you try, where it's asking, at a political debate, a sample of audience members was asked to name the political party to which they belong to. So they're at a debate, and this is before COVID, I'm assuming, so you could have actual people in the audience, and they asked the people in the audience what was their political party, right? 34 of them said that they were Democrat, 56 of them said that they were Republican, 21 said other, and 9 did not respond. And this is only asking you for what is the mode, right? There's no average here. I can't actually calculate this average. I don't know what the average Democrat is in this case, because that doesn't make sense for this type of data. It's actually just telling me a label for each of these guys, which is Democrat, Republic, other, and did not respond. And looking at this, what do you think is the mode for this one? Which one shows up the most? You guys have any ideas? What's the most for this example right here for these political parties? Which one shows up the most? Which one is the majority of this data here? And I hope you guys are seeing that, right? This number doesn't represent like 56 of one thing, right? It's 56 Republicans, right? We're measuring how many Republicans there are, and this is the one that shows up the most, right? So yes, Calvin, that's right. So the mode in this case is not the number 56, by the way. The mode in this case is Republican. So I hope you guys see the difference there, right? The mode in this one was 13 because there were actually, that's the thing we were looking at, was their actual age, and we saw that there are, I can't find the 5th one. There were like 5 of them. So that was the most of the ages that shows up in this small town. In this case, what shows up the most is Republican, right? And that comes up as not 56. The mode is actually the word Republican in this case. Okay. So anyways, that's that one. Look at number 2. In a survey, 240 US adults were asked if the United States will ever have a female president. Of those surveyed, 171 said yes, 45 said no, and 24 said they didn't know. So looking at that, right, we can see that, 71 responded yes, and that's the one that's the most. You see that 71 is the most of the answers that we have there, whereas 45 is the second most and 24 is the least. If I'm looking for the mode, my answer here is not 171, but instead it is people who responded yes. That's right. Yes is my mode in this case, people who responded with yes. I should write that in a complete sentence. People who responded yes. Yeah, that's how we should write that out. Not not just yes, knock me. That's just horrible grammar. But yeah, that's it, guys. Does that make sense for mean, median, mode, by the way? These 2 last examples I just did is the reason why we use mode, by the way, and not the mean and the median, right? Because we couldn't do what the mean and the median is for this. It wouldn't make sense. So mode it comes into play when we have to deal with finding out a good representation of your data, and it wouldn't make sense to calculate the average. Like if I had here, 171 responded yes, 45 responded no, and 24 responded didn't know. What was the average response? And I would say, I actually can't calculate the average because I can't add yeses with nos plus didn't know, divide that by 240. That would just be like, what? So instead we look at the mode and we look at what was the most replied answer. In this case was yes. And that's a good representation of the data set, right? The most that shows up there. And that's what we deal with mode, by the way. I don't know if you guys ever thought about it when you first learned mean, median, and mode, but most teachers don't talk about like, why do we care about the mode? But it's actually another form of measuring that sometimes the mean and the median don't actually tell you anything about the data. And it isn't until you look at the mode that will tell you about it. And this is one case. Another case is that I usually teach with my IM1 class is this. If you are asked, what do you think the average number of legs human beings have in the world? If you were asked this, what would your answer be? What's the average number of legs that humans have in the world? You guys got any ideas? What do you think the average number of legs is? Yeah, 2. Because I was going with 2. Guessing 7. No, Calvin, it's not 7. Human, not whatever it is that you're thinking of. Human being. Right? Just I was going with 2. Anyone else? I think most of you guys will probably just be like, yeah, Nakami, it's 2. The average number of legs, not 8,763 either, Jared, but the average number of legs, hear me out on this, is actually 1.9. The average number of legs is 1.9. It's not 2, but you clearly understand it should be 2 because the majority of the people you see, majority of the humans you see, have 2 legs. And a good representation of that would be the number 2. But as Calvin is saying, we also record people who lose their legs, right? So there's some people who only have 1 leg. Some people have no legs, right? And when you take that into account for your average, right, that actually brings your average of 2, which is the majority of people, down a little bit. And it brings it down to 1.9. And again, 1.9 is not the best representation of the number of legs that majority of people have in the world, right? I'm not counting them down. I'm just saying we can't average it out to 2 because there's no one out there with more than 2 legs, right? If you have some people with more than 2 legs, and that will counterbalance people with less than 2 legs, and then you'd have an average of exactly 2. But we don't have that case, right? We don't have people who have 4 legs, right? Those aren't people, right? We have people who are 2 legs, and then there's people who lose a leg or people who lose both legs. So in that case, the mean, not the best representation. 1.9 is not the best representation of number of legs in the world, on humans, I should say. But instead, we use the mode, and that's because most people have 2 legs, and that data would show up the most, the number 2. So you would say, oh, the mode is a better representation for that example, right? So that's why we deal with mode, because not always is the mean or the median the best. Sometimes the mode is better. But again, it goes the other way. The mode is not always the best sometimes, and you go with the mean and the median. If you really want to be like thorough with it, you calculate all 3. You calculate all 3 and see what is the relationship between the mean, the median, and the mode, and draw your conclusion from all 3 of those. Okay? And draw your conclusion from all 3 of those. Okay. Anyways, let's keep going here. Let's keep going. I'm going to go over here and calculate an outlier. Outlier. Ooh. Let's take a look here. Where an outlier is just a data entry that is far removed from the other entries in a data set, right? That's all an outlier is. People is, oh yeah, you already read that one. All right, so as I was saying, right, outliers is just an entry data, a number that's in your data that looks like it's super far away from all your other data entries, right? So let's take a look at an example here. What I have over here is a list of ages in a class. The list of ages in a class, and how nice it's actually put in order so it's a little bit easier to see the mode, so we don't have to use our calculator to find the mode, right? Actually, it's even in order for us to help us find the median, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Let's calculate the mean, the median, the mode for these guys right here. So to calculate the mean, we just add them all up and divide by how many there are. To calculate the median, we look for the number that's in the middle, and to calculate the mode, the one that shows up the most. So I think you guys would agree, since the numbers are in order already, I think the mode would probably be the easiest one to find, right? The mode is the one that shows up the most, and it looks like it's going to be 20, right? There's 6 elements in here that have the number 20, 6 people who are age 20, and I think that's the majority. 21 shows up 4 times, 22 shows up 3 times, 23 shows up 4 times, 24 shows up 2 times, and then there's a person here who's 65, right? So it looks like in here the ages in this class, the mode is 20, right? The mode is 20. Now the next thing up we need to do is find the mean and the median. I'm going to do the median because the number's already in order, so I'm just going to work this out. To look for the number that's in the middle, we simply just work our way through by crossing out the way when I have it written in order. This way I count it out from the least to the greatest. So I would count out let's count out like numbers of 4. So 20, well, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I count 4 from the other side as well. So I go over to the top side and I count down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I just keep repeating this until I get to where the middle is, right? I get to where the middle is. So the next one right here, let's do the next one is go 4 more numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I go 4 from here as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're almost there. We're almost there. The median is going to be between, I can't count 4 because if I count 4, it goes all the way through to the other side. So instead, I'm just going to count over until it gets closer. So 1 here, and then go 1 more closer here, and 1 more closer here. So where's my median? My median is going to be between 21 and 22. You see that? My median is going to be between 21 and 22. Do you guys know what the number is? That's exactly between 21 and 22. What's the halfway point between 21 and 22? 21.5. And if you have trouble seeing that, you can always use your calculator, guys. Never, right? What? Don't hesitate to use your calculator. Okay, you are in a. What happened to my screens? All my screens just minimized. Whoops. Give me a second. Okay, so don't be afraid to use your calculators, right? I gave you this app for you to use. You can actually use it to calculate the number that's between 21 and 22. Second, quit. And I'm just going to go ahead and tell it to do 21 plus 22, right? And then divide that answer by 2. And that's all I'm doing, by the way. I'm looking for the number that's exactly between the two. And that's how you would do it, is just add them together, divide by 2. That's 21.5. And the last thing you need to do now is calculate the mean, which is the sum of all these numbers divided by how many there are. And looks like there are, let's add them all up. I'm going to do it I'm just doing it the old school way and just add them up. So 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 21 plus 21 plus 21 plus 21 plus 22 plus 22 plus 22 plus 23 plus 23. Whoops. Careful with that. Don't hit clear. You'll clear out the whole line. So plus 23 once, plus 23 twice, plus 23 3 times, plus 23 4 times, plus 24, plus 24, plus 65. I get my total as about 475. You should double check that though, because I kind of like speed typed that. So just double check that I did that correctly. And that of course is going to be divided. 425 is going to be divided by how many numbers there are, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Looks like there's 20 people in this classroom and they have their ages right there. Their sum ages is 475. Divide that by 20 people. The average age in this classroom is 20.75. Oh, sorry, 23.75. 23.75. I'm sorry. I got distracted because I looked at Calvin's 20. You were giving me the answer of how many people there are. My fault. I should have looked up. I saw the 20. I just read out the 20. Anyways, yeah, the mean is 23.75. So looking at this data, right? I'm going to go ahead and erase these lines here. You could keep them on there, but erase these lines just so I can look at the numbers a little bit better there, right? They're telling me that the average age in this classroom is 23.75. But when you look at the numbers, right, does 23.75 look like it's a good representation of the ages of the students in this class? And I don't know. It looks kind of high, right? The 23.75 looks kind of high, but we'll just keep that in mind for now. The median and the mode, right, looks okay as well. That's 21.5 and the mode is 20, right? So keep those numbers in mind right there. Keep those numbers in mind. And here's what I want to answer. I want to ask you guys. Are there any possible outliers or for these ages? And hopefully you guys can see there is an outlier, right? There is an outlier. What's that outlier? This guy who's 65, right? This guy who's 65. I'm not saying he doesn't belong, right? I'm just saying numerically speaking, that age looks like an outlier. He doesn't look like he fits in with the other numbers that are there, right? If I was drawing a dot plot, I have a bunch of dots around 20, 21, 22, 24, 23, and then this one single dot all the way out here is 65, right? So that 65 is a possible outlier, I'd say, right? Possible outlier at 65, okay? All right, here's what I want you to do. If we consider 65 as an outlier, let's take out that 65. Let's not count it for now. Let's take out that 65. And can you guys take a couple minutes here and recalculate the mean, the median, the mode without the 65? Without the 65. Can you calculate the mean, the median, the mode without the 65 there. Okay? And go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and have you guys do that. I'm going to have you guys type that answer in for me for a pair deck. So go ahead and just start working on it right now. Get the mean, the median, the mode, but this time do it without counting the 65 and see what you guys get. See what you guys get. Do we need to do a pair deck? Yeah, let's do a pair deck. Let me open up my pair decks. Where are you pair decks? Searching my drive. Let's go with stat. This is 2.3, isn't it? I need to make a new one. Let's go with a new Google slide. All right, and then delete. And this time I'm having you calculate the mean, median, mode of these numbers, but I'm crossing out the 65 because that's an outlier. Don't mind me, guys. I'm just talking to myself. All right, and I'm going to calculate the mean, median, mode for these said guys right here. I'll put that onto here, like so. That looks beautiful. Pair deck. So you guys can type out your answers onto here. This will be stats 2.3 notes. I have this one drawable. All right, and then I'm going to create a new blank one and then make that one drawable as well, and then have you guys join on this one here. So give me 1 second. Let's go ahead and end this one over here. Calc period 3. Trig. Okay, that's that one, and then let's start this one, and then I'll give you the link so you can type in your answers for the mean, median, mode. Thought I would have had this ready for you guys, but I didn't. Structure paste. So if you already have your answers, you can just type it into here. If not, keep working. Keep working. I'm going to put the link into the chat right now, so give me a second here. Let's go ahead and type that into there. If you don't want to do it on your computer and you want to do it on your home or on your phone instead, you can go to this site on your Safari browser or your phone browser, Chrome, whatever it is. ETOQVP. There you go, into the chat. If you guys want to do it either way, you can click on it now and just open up a new tab and type in your answers for the mean, median, and the mode for me. I just want to see what you guys got. Oh, by the way, if you got a decimal, at least round it to like 1 or 2 decimals afterwards. After the decimal, give me 1 to 2. Actually, it'd be best if you could get up to 4 decimals, because that's what I've been trying to tell you guys to get used to. But if you already have it written down, and you only wrote down 2 decimal places or 1 decimal places, that's fine for now. But just know in future times, like try to go to like 4 decimal places just to get yourself used to doing that, because that's actually what we do a lot of in stats, is go to 4 decimal places. And you'll see why once we get further in the chapters. Yeah. Then for the rest of you who are done, just relax a little bit, tap it into there, see what you guys have. Oh, a couple of you guys are done. Michael, Calvin, good job. Lewis, I like what you're doing. Very good job. Keep it up. Kevin, nice. You just need to get the mode. Why are there only 7 students in here? Where is everybody? There's supposed to be 32 of you guys in here. I only see 7 on you guys. Are you guys like refusing to go in here? 7 scholars. Yeah, that's true. 7 of you guys in here. How about the rest of you guys? Come on, just click on that link. Get in there. It's not something you have to draw. You just have to type out the numbers for me for these guys. All right, type out the numbers for me for these guys. I was having a discussion with other teachers about this whole distance learning, and they were talking with their students, and they were just asking genuinely, like, how do they feel about it? And it was a lot of like, so much negativity, but at the same time, like I feel for them, and I feel for you guys as well. I think you guys have that as well, but you guys just haven't told me about it. Some of you guys, no, even then you come like worried about it. I've heard a couple of you guys come to my office hours and you were worried about certain things, and I don't know. Are you guys feeling the same way? Are you feeling like a little bit like tired of this? Or are you feeling like this is annoying? But I don't know. I feel like, yeah, Christina's going, yup. At the same time though, like, not gonna lie, yeah. But at the same time though, it's kind of like I haven't. Maybe it's because I'm not asking of your input enough, but I feel like you guys are doing okay in my class. At least that's what it feels like when we interact on our chat. Most of the times in here, like, I felt like it's always been fun ever since day one with you guys on this distance learning, but I could just be wrong. But I feel like we've been having like at least some positivity, right? I can't do math through a screen. I agree, Brenda. It's so difficult to follow through there. Yeah. So, that's what I'm saying. Like, don't ever feel like, you have to do this stuff. You have to do this or you have to do that, right? If you need a break, take a break, okay? But I'll be honest with you, just letting you guys know, it is fun seeing your answers typed in. So that's why I do like doing these Pear Decks, because I actually see you typing it in. I can't see it in person, and it does make me sad that I can't see you in person. But the fact that, every now and then you guys type into the chat, right? If I take a break, it's hard to catch up. Yeah, I agree, Grace. But I'm just saying, though, sometimes you might need a break, and sometimes some people need that mental break, and it's okay. It's hard to catch up, but you will be able to. But again, going back to this, I appreciate those of you who do join into the Pear Deck that type in these answers. I do appreciate you guys typing into the chat with me. All right. I know some of you guys are uncomfortable with unmuting your mic and talking, so that's why I don't force you to do it. I also don't force you to turn on your cameras. That was the other thing that was in the beginning of the school year. They were asking like us to force you guys to have cameras on, but I've never asked that of you guys, because honestly, like I would enjoy seeing you guys. I enjoy hearing you guys, but as long as you're typing to me, you're showing me that you're there. I think that's good enough for me. Like, I just know that you're there, and it makes me feel nice. It's a good feeling for me. That's my positive from this. Is just when you guys type, good morning to me. When you guys type your answers into me, it does mean a lot to me. So I appreciate that, and thank you for that. Okay, and for those of you who have your answers in there, Calvin, that is a very, very good like drawing that you just made there. I am impressed. That wouldn't be fun having a camera on. Yeah. For some people, Michael. For some people, they like. I haven't met anyone that likes having the camera on, but some people do. Some people don't. All right, good job on that one. I'm very impressed for some of you guys, like Lewis, Jared. You guys just, Giselle. You guys all wrote this out. You could type it out as well. Typing it out works for you guys on there, because the draw mode also has a feature where you can type it out. But I appreciate that you guys did that. Do something special on else. I wish I can copy and paste on the Pear Deck. Yeah, I wish you could copy and paste on the Pear Deck as well. I don't know why they don't add that feature in there. All right, I'll take a look when you submit the notes. But yeah, I am impressed though by those of you guys who are writing this out. Yeah. Jared. All right, let's take a look here. Looks like if you guys weren't able to get into the Pear Deck to type in your answers because lag issues, or you clicked on it and it didn't work, you could type it in the chat right now. I am recording this meet, so I am recording the answers that you guys type into the chat as well. So that works as well. So if you guys have answers and you weren't able to type into the Pear Deck, if you want to, just type into the chat right now. Just go ahead, type in your answers into the Pear Deck, and I will have it recorded that way if you guys want to. Just type in mean was this answer, median was this answer, mode was this answer. Go ahead and type that out if you want to get the credit that way instead of doing it through the Pear Deck. So let me go ahead and share these answers that some of you guys have gotten. Oh no, some of you guys, it looks like you calculated the mean, median, and mode, including the 65. What I wanted you guys to do was to not include the 65 for this one, because we're going to try doing it without the outliers, right? So these three right here is with the outlier of 65. These three down here is going to be without the outlier. And if you calculate all these guys, add it together and divide by, now be careful, you don't divide by 20, okay, for this mean. If I take out the 65, you need to make sure you divide by 19 because there's no longer 20 if I take out the outlier, right? So if I was doing this, right, my sum came out to be 475 before, but if I take out the 65, my new sum would be 410, right? That's the trick of doing it this way. Or you could just add it again by hand, right? You get 410, but that's not going to be divided by 20 anymore because now there are 19 of them. So I divide this by 19, and I should get an average of 21.578. It keeps going, it looks like. 21.5789. And if you want to round that, you could just round that to 21.57. I'm going to round that to 21.579. If you rounded it to 21.58, that's also correct. 21.58 is perfectly fine. 21.579 isn't any more correct than 21.58. I just want you to get used to seeing the decimal actually at the end there. And if you want to go it above and beyond, you could write it down as 21.5789, right? That's how many decimal places I traditionally want you to go, which is the 4th decimal place. But you don't have to. You don't have to right now. At least go to 2 decimal places, though, for me, just for right now. But just understand in the future, we're going to go to 4 decimal places. Okay? All right. The median, I'm going to cheat and look at the answers that most of you guys got. And looking at the answers that most of you guys got, it looks like the median is 21. Looks like the median is 21. And then the mode is still 20. So those are the answers you should have gotten when you recalculated the mean, the median, the mode, and took out that outlier of 65, right? We took out that 65 and we recalculated it. Looking at these numbers, right? Which one of these numbers, the mean, the median, the mode, which measure of central tendency, right? Which one of those three, mean, median, and mode, was affected the most? Which one looks like it was affected the most? Well, the mode remained pretty much the same. You see that? The mode was 20 and the mode here is 20, so that didn't really change. The median changed a little bit. The median changed a little bit. It went from 21.5 to 21. So it changed a little bit, right? Not a lot. Not a lot. But what changed a lot, guys? What changed a lot? Hopefully you guys can see it. Look at the mean. Look at the mean. The mean changed by 2 whole years. By 2 whole years. And you might say that's not that big of a deal, but 2 whole years in this case is quite a bit, right? The average before was 23 years old, and the average when you take out the 65 is now 21. Question, why did you divide? What did you divide with for the mean? I divided by 19. Lewis, because if you take out the 65 and you count it out, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 ages. That's why I divided by 19 instead of 20, because I'm no longer including the 65. Were we supposed to round? Just round it to at least 2 decimal places. So if you wrote down, actually, I'll put this here. If you wrote down 21.58, right, that's perfectly fine. If you wrote down 21.6, that's fine as well. I just wanted to get you used to seeing it rounding to like more decimal places. Okay, so just get to like 2 decimal places. What might have happened also is you might have missed one of the numbers when you were adding them. So that's why your number might be different from mine. So just be careful when you're adding the numbers together. So when you added those 19 numbers, you should have got 410, right? You should have got 410. Let me double check though. 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20 plus 20. 6 of them, right? Oh, one more. Whoops. Dang it. 2020. I don't want to see you in here. Right? Are there 6 numbers of 20s there? Yeah, and then 21, and then 21, and then 21, and 21. There's 4 of them, 3 22s. Bro, just a little off. Here we go, 23, 23, 23. I could just do the arrows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 24, 24. And 410 should be the new total without the 65. So anyways, back over here, right? What is being affected when I take out the outlier? So when I take out the outlier, I hope you guys can see that. When the outlier is taken out, the mean, right? The mean is being affected, right? The outlier seems to stretch your mean further towards wherever the outlier is. So if you have an outlier way higher than the other data sets, your mean gets pulled towards that outlier, right? It goes towards the higher value. And it no longer represents the central tendency that you have there of all your other data sets, right? Your data sets right here, if you draw the dot plot out, this is clumped around 20 to 24, right? And the average should be around 21 in the middle of it. But if you have an outlier of 65, it pulls your mean, it pulls your average away from the middle. It actually pulls it either towards the larger numbers if you have a larger outlier, or if you had like a genius kid in this college class who was like, I don't know, 5 years old. I don't think you could have a 5-year-old in college, but if you did, right, it would pull that mean towards the lower end of there. So your data does get affected by these outliers, and the one that gets affected the most is the mean, right? The mean. So I would say, like, then since the mean is being affected by this outlier, what measure of central tendency would best describe the entry of this data set, right? Including when you're including the possible outlier. So if I'm including the outlier, the mean is no longer, I would say, the best representation because that's a little too high, right? The mode shows up the most, but again, it doesn't show everybody. It only shows the one that shows up the most, and it's very young. So I'd say the best case scenario in this case would be the median. The median would be the best representation of this one. So that's what I would write down right here. The best one that describes it here would be the median in this case. The median is the best one I would write down in my notes. All right, so I'd take that, write that down. Give you guys a second to write that down. The mean is the one that's most affected by outliers. The median, even if there is an outlier, is still one of the best ways to describe the data that's there. All right. Let's keep going here. Let's take a look at comparing these guys and what are the advantages and disadvantages of comparing your mean, median, and mode, right? Comparing your mean, median, and mode. All right. All 3 measures describe a typical entry of a data set. Mean, median, and mode is a tool that we've always used for the longest time. In fact, it's so long that you guys should have learned this back in IM 1. You should have learned mean, median, and mode in IM 1. I think you learned it with me if you guys had me. I could be wrong, though. I don't remember anymore if you guys remember learning mean, median, and mode with me or not. But it is an important thing to do. The advantages of using the mean is like one of the most, like, usually is a reliable measure because it takes into account every data set. It adds them all up together and then divides by how many there are. The only issue is, though, if you have an outlier, right, it is greatly affected by that outlier, right? Best example, I might have told you guys this one last time, but if you guys could imagine a classroom filled with, let's say, teachers, right? Have I shared this one with you guys before? Have I shared this story with you guys? If you had a classroom full of teachers, right, you can calculate the average salary that a teacher makes, right? If you have a group of teachers in a classroom and you figured out how much each teacher makes, you can calculate the average, and that'd be a good representation of how much a teacher should make in that particular classroom. All right, let's just make up a number here. Let's say an average salary for a teacher is like, I don't know, $50,000 to $60,000 a year, right? That's what it would be, I think. I'm not actually sure, but let's just say it is. Let's say we got like 30 teachers in there, and the average salary is the average salary is around $50,000 a year. That's how much an average teacher should make in that classroom, right? And that's a good representation, right? Some people make more than 50, some people make less than 50. It all depends on how long they've been a teacher for, right? Now, that's a great representation using the mean. Now, that mean gets messed up if, let's say, a really rich person walks into that room. Let's go with, do you guys know who Jeff Bezos is? The owner of Amazon? Or Elon Musk, the owner of Tesla, let's say. Let's say those guys walked in to that classroom with just teachers in there, right? You guys would agree that those guys earn an annual salary that's in the millions, right? If not billions, right? They earn them in the hundreds of millions, yeah? So the average right now with just teachers alone was, let's say, $50,000 a year. And then Jeff Bezos, who makes over $100 million a year, walks into that classroom. That average is no longer going to be around 50,000. That average would actually jump up into at least 1 million, right? So then you would say the people in that room, right, have an average income of $1 million a year. But you see how ridiculous that sounds, right? You'd be saying like, oh, those teachers make an average of $1 million a year because I did the math and I calculated. I added up all these values, including this one person who made $100 million last year, right? Along with these other teachers, and I calculated the average to be $1 million a year. So does that hold true? Does that actually have a good representation for that? And I hope you're thinking to yourself, no, right? That doesn't make any sense. Just because that one person makes $100 million doesn't mean that the average is a good representation for everyone else who's in that room. That outlier kind of screws up your whole data. And that's the whole disadvantage of using the mean, is if you have an outlier, it kind of screws it all up. Right, and that's why it's not enough just to look at the mean. You got to look at the median and the mode as well, because those guys will explain to you like, hey, my middle numbers are over here, but my average is way the heck out here. So, yeah, right. So that's something that you should take into account when you're calculating the mean, median, and mode. You need to look at all of them, not just the mean, because of these outliers. Okay, because of these outliers. How are you guys doing? You guys all right with that explanation of what happens if a billionaire walks into a room and what happens to your average, right? Your average just gets, your mean just gets messed up, right? All because of an outlier. All right. That being said, let's see here. I'm going to move down here, and this is where we're going to leave off. This is where we're going to leave off. I want you guys to take this equation right here and write this down. We're going to be talking about calculating a weighted mean, a weighted average, a weighted score, right? What does it mean? What is the mean of a data set whose entry has varying weights? And if you're unfamiliar with a weighted mean, it's most commonly used when you're calculating your grades. For example, before COVID happened, my test scores in Mr. Nakmi's class, in my class, Mr. Nakmi's grades, let's say. You don't have to write this down. I just want to show you. Mr. Nakmi's grades used to be broken down this way. It used to be broken down this way. The test scores used to be worth 70% of your grade. Quizzes would be worth 20% of your grade, and your homework would be worth 10% of your grade, right? And what a weighted mean means is that you break down your grades based off of these certain categories, and they are weighed a little bit differently. So here's what I mean by this. If you don't have a weighted mean and you just calculate the score straight up, and you say, let's say, oh, I was grading this person tests, and they got 100 out of 100, right? That's too perfect of a number. Let's say they got a 70 out of 100, right? And then on the quiz, they got 5 out of 5. And then on the homework, they didn't do any homework, and there was like 50 points worth of homework, right? So this person's grade right here, if you calculated this out, it would be 75, right, out of 155, and that comes out to be a whopping, yes, I said whopping, 75 out of 155, which gives them a grade of a 48%, which is terrible, right? Which is terrible, right? This is unweighted, right? Unweighted. I hope that's spelled right. Unweighted. Unweighed? Anyways, that's the unweighted one. if you do it weighted, right, you actually wouldn't get the same score, right? You wouldn't get the same score. You would actually get a different score. So let's say this person got a C, right, on this test. He got a 5 out of 5 on a quiz and didn't do any of the homework. Their weighted score is not going to be the same, right? Their weighted score is not going to be 48.3%, 48.38%, right? On a weighted score, it takes into account these percentages right here. And I know a lot of students like what does this all mean? You multiply these scores along with the percentages, and then you add them up. So 70 out of 100, I would multiply that by 0.7. I clearly said 7. I wrote a 9. I would multiply that by 0.70. The 5 out of 5, I would multiply that out by 0.20. And the 0 out of 5, I would multiply by 0.10. And the reason why you do this, right, real quick here, is for your grade, right? For your grade in, let's say, in Mr. Nakami's class, the most you can get is 100%, which is the same thing as 1, right? So if they got a 0 out of 50 on their homework, I wouldn't actually sum that up and give you this horrible score. Instead, what I'm saying is out of the 100%, this student earned 0 out of 10%. I would multiply this out. 0 out of 50 times 0.10 would give me 0. So for the homework, the student got 0 out of the possible 10%. And you'll say that doesn't look like this one at all. And that actually helps out this student because it was only worth 10%. On the quiz, on the other hand, he got a perfect score. He got a 5 out of 5. But you'll see that doesn't look like it's worth as much up here. But in fact, it's actually worth 20% of his grade. So if I multiplied 5 out of 5 times 0.2, that would come out to be 0.2, right? And this is the kicker of the last one right here. Then what did he get on his test score? What did he get on his test score? Well, it would be 70 out of 100, which is still 0.7. And I multiply that with 0.7 again. And what I'm saying is out of a possible score of 70% on this final grade, he earned 49% out of the 70 possible for the test scores. So what is this kid's final grade? What is this kid's final grade if I look at this as a weighted score instead of unweighted score? Well, this kid's score would be 0.49 plus 0.20 plus 0. His final grade would come out to be 0.69, which is a 69%. So nice, 69. Anyways, so what I'm saying is weighted scores can be helpful sometimes, considering what assignments are being done, as opposed to just weighing things not weighing things at all, right? This kid would have failed if I just had the scores added up straight up, right? Whereas if I weighed them out as 70%, 20%, and 10%, this kid would have passed with a D+. Or, if he did extra credit, he would have got a C-, right? And that's how weighted scores work. Weighted grades usually are graded that in most of your math classes, your teacher will have them weighted or broken down in a certain way. We'll talk more about this next time using a chart and calculating this out correctly. I just wanted to show you an example of it. If you didn't write this down, you don't have to write this down. We'll do a full example over here, right? But I'll leave this up if you want to write this down. But that's going to be it for today, guys. You have completed the first week of October with math, and you're not going to see me until Monday, guys. You don't have to deal with this until Monday next week. You will have a quiz on Monday, so get yourself ready for that. What's on that quiz is fair game, right? From 2.1, which is the frequency table stuff, right? Remember the class width and all that. And then for 2.3, the most recent thing that I'll have on the quiz is going to be how to calculate the mean, the median, or the mode, given the data set that you have there. Okay, so that's going to be it from me. Don't worry about the weighted mean, and we're not going to put that on the quiz because I just barely showed it to you today. But that's going to be it. Have a good weekend, guys. I won't see you till Monday, so make sure you stay out of trouble, stay out of jail, and don't get pregnant. Okay? I'll see you guys on Monday. So long, guys. Farewell.